Hi friends, welcome to the Mobile Bev Pros podcast, a podcast dedicated to providing mobile bar professionals with the information they need to succeed. I'm your host and fellow mobile bar owner, Sarah Murphy. Each episode, I'll be bringing you interviews, knowledge, anecdotes, or opinions with the goal of assisting you in building a profitable, sustainable, and scalable mobile bar business that will support the lifestyle you dream of. I'm excited for today's episode, so let's get started. On the podcast with me today is Stacey Hooker from Sweetly Simplified Systems. She is a certified HoneyBook Pro, and a matter of fact, one of the 6 founding pros for HoneyBook. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Happy to have you. We have had a number of system experts and Dubsado specialists join us over the years, but we have never had someone who's specifically certified and specializes in HoneyBook. And I have a ton of questions.
Oh, and I am here to answer all of them. I'm here for it.
For listeners listening in who might not know, HoneyBook is one of the 2 main CRM software systems that we recommend to the mobile bar industry. It isn't ideal and perfect, neither is Dubsado. Most of these CRMs are built for a different type of business model, one that has a less complex pricing model than mobile bars or catering even, but it's the best thing on the market. And so a vast majority of my clients use HoneyBook. Our entire Exceed group coaching program uses HoneyBook. And so I think that's important to mention in that I've heard from others that they feel like HoneyBook has a cap as to how much revenue you can really do with it before you need additional functionality and flexibility. But my HoneyBook users in my group program are making $500,000 a year through HoneyBook. So it is fairly scalable. Do you find that there is a time or a place where the business becomes too complex for HoneyBook and that other options might be preferable? Or do you think that, is there a way that HoneyBook can be set up or adjusted to scale with a business?
Yeah, so it can definitely be set up any way to scale your business. The only time I would suggest maybe looking at a different option is if you have a huge team. HoneyBook does have team capabilities, don't get me wrong, but it is very basic. But so if you have a complex team of doing different things, different calendars, different service options, things like that's when you might need to look at upgrading to a more robust CRM like maybe Dubsado. But HoneyBook can definitely help you scale your business. It has helped me scale my business as a service provider myself and all of my pros I've worked, or all of my clients. I've worked with several wedding pros and everybody in the wedding industry. A lot of those people use HoneyBook, and it is a great way to simply manage your business and your clients and your client experience all in one place. And with HoneyBooks, with all of their new updates and new features coming, it's even more robust than it was when I first started 4+ years ago. When I first started, it was very basic, and now it can do so many things now that really meets you where you are to get things set up for success. So you can stop worrying about stopping everything you're doing to reply to inquiries and things like that, and allow the automations to really do the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, I was a HoneyBook user starting back in 2017, and I ended up moving to Dubsado, which was a rough learning curve to move from one to the other, because Dubsado at that time had a lot more functionality. That isn't necessarily the case any longer. Over the past number of years, HoneyBook has continued to make updates and improvements that have really put it on par in regards to automations, the way that you can customize your proposals. It has pretty much everything that Dubsado has, with the exception of HTML, right? Dubsado, you can use HTML to code your proposals and your contact forms and that sort of thing. But honestly, there aren't too many people out there that are familiar with HTML. And for the vast majority of entrepreneurs, they just want something that looks good and is easy to implement. And HoneyBook checks those boxes.
Definitely. And that's one of the winning cases for HoneyBook. And just to be completely transparent, I tried Dubsado before I did HoneyBook. I tried about 3 or 4 different CRMs, And either they were way more than what I needed, which was what was with Dubsado. It was more than I needed. And I'm like, I don't need all of this stuff. And then when I found HoneyBook, it ticked all the boxes for me and it was easy. I was able to set up my main service offering and get it automated within a weekend because it just made sense, and there were plenty of help articles. Back then, the pros didn't exist back then when I first started with HoneyBook. So I had to learn myself how to teach myself how to use the platform. But there's plenty of help articles that walked me through the process and things like that. And it was just easy to understand. I didn't have to worry about coding, like you said. And I didn't have to worry about all these different aspects that, like, I'm not trying to put down any other platform, but Dubsado is a whole different animal. There is nothing simple to Dubsado until it's all done and set up. And then the simplification happens because it's all running. But you honestly need a Dubsado Pro to help you get things set up if you're not very tech savvy. Where with HoneyBook, it is simple enough that even if you're not tech savvy, there are plenty of support articles and plenty of ways that you can learn it yourself. And then now with the pros marketplace, you can go there and shop for a pro to meet the needs that you have to help you get yourself up, at your business up and going in HoneyBook easily.
Yeah, that's a really good point. People will oftentimes ask me HoneyBook or Dubsado, and I think they are both on par with each other, but you need to be specific about what your needs are. If you're looking for something that is simple, easy to set up, then HoneyBook is the way to go. If you're looking for something that has more functionality, customization, then Dubsado is the way to go. But HoneyBook has a much lower learning curve. And to your point, like, we work with a Dubsado specialist to help our clients set up their Dubsado if they want that done. And that process is exceptionally painful for them. Not a single person has gone through that program that hasn't wanted to pull their hair out, has broken down and cried. And to your point, on the tail end, they're really happy they did it, and things are great, and they just love life. But in that process, it's very painful because it is not an intuitive software to use. I happen to be super techie, so it's not necessarily something that was a hurdle for me. The transition was very difficult from HoneyBook to Dubsado back then because they function so differently. I just kept looking for, they call it proposal in one and invoice in another, and I'm just like very confused. But ultimately I got there. And so for anyone who's listening, if you're looking for something that's beautiful and easy, HoneyBook's the way to go. If you're looking for something that's a bit more robust, Dubsado is the way to go. Just know you're signing up for a little bit of a headache in the front end. And they try to make it as easy as possible. There's lots of YouTube videos. There's lots of help articles. I think they'll even transition stuff for you, the information, the data. And the reason we're talking about CRM systems at all is because it's a vital tool for scaling a sustainable service business. CRMs that handle email, invoicing, contracts, payments, communication, a light project management, all in one place, calendar management, which is super important for the events business.
Scheduling too, with the scheduler in HoneyBook.
Yes, there's just so much all in one place. And I know a lot of people who wait to implement a CRM, and I'm okay with that. If you've got 2 events a month, you don't necessarily need a full, robust system. But it should be one of the earliest investments that you make, because trying to backward engineer a system into a very busy business is painful. Whereas having it set up to begin with and then funneling in the business, it makes it a lot simpler. What specifically would you say you have, like, the benefits that you've seen with your clients after they get their HoneyBook set up?
The main response I get is I feel like I duplicated myself at least twice, if not 3 times, because HoneyBook is able to do the work for you, especially once it's all set up. Automations are in place. Once a client reaches out through your contact form, they submit that contact form. It activates your automation as well as creates the client project for you. So the client does the data entry for you. HoneyBook does the heavy lifting of responding right away with the automation. When you have the automation in place, you can have your tasks on there to remind you, so it supports you as the business owner, but then it also sends out all that client communication, so it's supporting that client through their experience with you. And so just that, the power of automations is what feels like you've been duplicated, because it's doing all the work for you while you're at the beach with your kids. Or like for me, the first time I had the automation set up and working, I went to the zoo with my kids. It was over spring break or fall break, one of the two. And we were at the zoo and my phone buzzed because I have the HoneyBook app. With the HoneyBook app, you get notifications when anybody inquires or emails and pays. You get this nice cha-ching sound when somebody pays an invoice. It's kind of fun. But I got a buzz on my phone, and so I checked it, and there was a HoneyBook notification that somebody inquired. And instead of stopping what I was doing and telling the kids, hold on, here, have a snack, mommy replies to this person really quick so I don't lose the lead, I just did a happy dance knowing that the automation was being activated. They just received an email thanking them for reaching out with the next steps of how to proceed with booking a project with me. And I didn't have to do anything else. I just stopped, saw the notification, did a little happy dance like, yes, I'm going to be talking to them soon, because I saw the notification that they booked a discovery coffee chat. And I went about my day. I did not have to stop everything I was doing to hurry up and respond to that lead. So we always have that fear of losing the lead. Whoever responds first is going to get the lead. And with automations in place, you don't have to worry about that. So that has been the biggest win for my clients once we get everything set up. And like you said about Dubsado, it is painful. It may not be as painful as Dubsado, but all of my VIP experience clients, which that's my highest level service where I do everything for you and set everything up for you, there are a lot of growing pains and there are a lot of groans and moans and I don't know. And so I coach my clients through that. But at the end, when they see the power of it, they're like, oh my gosh, I've gotten so much time back. And I feel like I have an assistant. I feel like I've been duplicated. And that is the most freeing aspect of it. And that's the most rewarding to me as a service provider, to get that feedback and know. And I tell them, see, all the hard work was worth it. There's so much work on the front end, but it's so rewarding on the back end when you get that freedom that we all created our businesses to start out with. We didn't create and start a business to work 24/7, although that's how we feel once things are kicking into gear. We're like, oh, we get to work when we want, where we want, and then we start to realize we're working 24/7. And with HoneyBook in place and automations in place, you can take that step back and enjoy that time freedom that we originally created our businesses to have.
I love that you brought up automations. It is, to me, the biggest benefit of having a CRM set up correctly, and it pays for itself in such a short amount of time. It's almost crazy to me that people are resistant to paying for setup, even though it is potentially a 4-figure investment to get it set up. The HoneyBook software itself is like $40 a month, and if you're like triplicating yourself, even if it saves you 1 hour, that pays for itself in a month, and it will save you way more than an hour. And it's really truly the only way to scale a business is to utilize automation. But one of the things that I hear a lot, the pushback there, is that they want to build a personalized business and they feel like automations are going to cheapen the client experience. And what do you say to that?
Oh, I love this. Yes, and that is the biggest pushback I get when I'm talking to clients on discovery calls. They're like, I'm afraid of automations because I don't want my clients to feel like they're getting an automated email. I want to have that personal touch. I want them to have that experience, and that is 100% doable in an automated way or in a non-automated way. You can create your email templates to where they are personable but still general enough that they can go out automatically, but you can totally spiff those up and make them sound fun and personable and have your personality come through but still be automated. And the fun thing, or the most amazing thing that I love with HoneyBook automations, is it can be as automated as you want or as manual as you want. So you can write your email template with all the meat in there, write it once, you're done, and then set it in your automation as approve before sending. That way, all you have to do is click view edit. It pops the email up. You add those client specific details. So if you need to add specific details that's related to that specific client, you just open it up, add those details. The rest of the email is there. and then you just send it on its way. So it takes a process that would normally take you probably, if you're like me and I'm staring at a blank email screen and I'm like, oh, where do I even start? It could take me 15 minutes to write a general email because I'm like, where do I start? How do I wrap up? And it takes, with automations, even if you have it set as approved before sending, it takes all of that guesswork out for you. All you have to do is worry about the client specific details that you want to plug in there, the intro, the pleasantries, the meat of the message, and the outro and your signature are all there. All you have to do is add the pertinent details and send it on its way. And so you can totally have that personalized experience for your clients while it's still automated. And it all comes down to really spending the time in writing those email templates, taking your time. And there are so many copywriters out there that offer templates, email templates that you can buy from them that have the copy and paste text that you can copy and paste into there and then make it your own. So if you do struggle with copywriting, with not knowing what to say, there are so many copywriters out there, pros, that have those types of resources. But you also, if you just take the time, you can totally do it yourself. Look back on previous clients, on the communication you sent through, because that's when you were genuinely you in those real-time communications with clients. You can take those emails, copy, paste them into an email template, adjust it as needed, and save it. Now it's like you do it once and you're done. You don't ever have to look at that email again unless you need to tweak it again later.
Yeah, I agree. Templatize your life. It will save you time and sanity. And if you don't know about ChatGPT, that's always a great place to get your email templates kicked off to. That's my favorite hack of 2023. Tell me what your favorite new feature is that HoneyBook has released.
Oh my gosh, there are so many, but my favorite right now is the smart files and being able to create a complete booking process all in one smart file. For example, I had a previous client reach out to me yesterday that's needing some tweaks done to her system, and she wanted to meet with me or go ahead and book the project. And so all I had to do was just send one smart file that gave her the information about that service. The contract was in there, the invoice, and she could also go ahead and book her project all in one file. That is like, before there were legacy files, and that would have taken probably 2 steps to complete. And now with the smart files and all of the features that they're adding to that, you can do it all in one time. And with smart files, you can add video to your smart files. So you can have a nice welcome or intro video that you keep general. Record it once, plug it in there, and you're done. On the invoice side, after they pay, you can have thank you for paying, thank you for booking, thank you for whatever on the outro of your booking smart file. So smart files have totally revolutionized HoneyBook and really brought it up to par with other CRMs like Dubsado, because it was lacking in that aspect before smart files came along. But now you can literally have somebody fill out your contact form, they get your booking smart file, and they can go ahead and sign, pay, schedule all in one go without you ever having to lift a finger. If it needs to be simple enough that you can put it all in one place and not have to edit it, but if you want it that simple, it can be done that simply, and that is just amazing. And their public smart files are coming, folks, and that's going to be even more revolutionizing for HoneyBook, to where you can just put that smart file link on your website. They can fill it out, sign, pay, schedule, book, whatever, and you're done. And you never had to do anything.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out for our industry, mainly because there's so much customization that goes on that I've had people ask or try in the past to put on like an Instabook link or calendar on their website, and it does not go well in this particular industry. But I do see how the value of smart files in simplifying processes that are done over and over again with very little editing. It's just copy and paste automatically. What is the one thing you wish HoneyBook would add or release as a feature?
So one of my feature requests, one has already been answered, and that was scheduler-based triggers. That was just released a couple of months ago in the automations. We did not have a way to trigger an email to send once a session was booked. So you always had to guesstimate when that would happen based on either when the automation was activated or based on the previous step, things like that. So that was one of my huge wish list items, was to have scheduler based triggers. And they've made that wish come true. But the other one would be triggers based on an action. So if they did this, then send this. If they did not, then send this. So especially with smart files, if they didn't open it, send this email. If they did open it but didn't sign or pay or click or do whatever, then send this email. So those if then triggers would be amazing. And I know it's on their radar because all of us pros have been requesting things like that, and other people have in the HoneyBook community Facebook group that they run. So I know it's on their radar, but there are more pressing items right now that they are working on. But they are working on so many things right now that they're going to be releasing so many updates over the coming months. And that's the one thing I love about being a pro, is I get notice before anybody else. I'm like, they let us know, hey, this is coming, that's coming. So it's hard for me to be like, nope, can't talk about it, but I can say amazing things are coming. And so if you are a HoneyBook user, know that amazing things are coming. If you're not, keep it on your radar, check it out. Let me know if you have questions, because it's going to be amazing.
I'll tell you mine. I wish that they had a way to have multiple logins, because people grow their businesses, and one of my biggest recommendations is to hire a VA as soon as you can, so that they can start helping with those $15 an hour tasks, such as replying to leads or sending out proposals because they might need a little tweaking, or following up with a client. And currently, there's only one login, correct? You have to give your login, which also has all your financial information too.
Yes, now they have, and I can't remember, I don't work with teams very often, so I don't stay as up to date on team aspects, but I know they have made a tweak to that when it comes to team members, that you can assign a team member like admin access without them getting access to everything. So I know that is an option now.
Okay, that's been released or it's coming?
Yes, yes. So I will have to get back to you, or maybe I can provide it after this recording so that you have the resource to plug into the show notes or something that, we talked about this. Here's the resource that shares how to do that. So I know they have added that capability with Teams to where they have a more dynamic way of interacting in the projects.
Awesome. That's such good information. The other thing that and perhaps they've changed this, the other thing that I always really wished that they had was the ability to turn off an automation based on a response. And the thing is that I recommend to my clients that once someone comes in, they have at least 5 to 8 emails that will follow up and add value and introduce themselves, etc., to try and nurture a lead into the buying process without them having to be like, hello, I sent you a proposal.
Yes.
But if you forget to turn that off and they've already responded, then they keep getting those emails, which is obviously not ideal. Have they implemented that?
No, but my pro tip for that, because I've worked with a lot of industries and clients that have the same situation. And so we create an automation that is just that nurture sequence, but I coach them that when you send them the proposal, so before you send them the booking documents, you move them over to what I call a project specific automation. So if they're booking your services for a wedding, then they go to that automation. You move them there, and the first step of that automation is to send the proposal. And so that way they know, then it's just training yourself in your brain that once they reply and say, yes, I'm ready to book, the first step is removing that automation, adding the project specific one. So whether it's a wedding, a birthday party, anniversary party, whatever automations you choose are best for your services, you move them to that project specific automation. And the very first step is to send that booking document to them, that booking smart file. And so it's just training your brain. That's the next step to do. And then once they do that, it's gone without a hitch, and they haven't had to worry about that nurture sequence continuing, because in their mind, they don't send the booking document until their automation tells them to. So they won't get that until they move them to that project specific automation. And so it becomes just a trigger. When they reply, they remove that automation, add the new one, and then send the booking document.
Yeah, I think for me, the struggle there is that if it's supposed to be train the brain and there's multiple people, hands in the pot, whose brain are we training?
Yes.
Everybody's brain on how to do this, right? So ideally, there'd be a way for that automation to end when a reply email, obviously, it's not going to be perfect because if someone calls you, you still have to remember. We haven't been able to AI everything yet, but hopefully soon they'll release that feature.
Yeah, and there's another one that's requested that it automatically starts another automation. With that nurture sequence, once it wraps up, then it could start off, kick another automation off. So that's another feature request that we've heard a lot of, is the ability to kickstart and activate another automation once one automation ends. So like maybe once the project wraps up, then they get kicked into a follow-up nurture sequence that just goes into a year worth of nurturing and following up after the project wraps up, where you don't necessarily want that in the project automation, but you want a follow-up that goes for a year maybe or something afterwards, and it would automatically kick off once it's marked completed or something like that. So I know that's on their radar to have. Automations are really on their radar, and they're really working hard to meet the majority of the needs of their users with the automations, because they know the automations are what make HoneyBook worth it, and having everything or having things as automated as much as you want them to be automated, and having that power to where you don't have to lift a finger and things are going and running in your time frame. And that's another thing I love about HoneyBook is, as a business owner, you don't have to fit into the HoneyBook box. I felt when I was trying out other CRMs, like I felt like I had to revise my business to fit into their box. Whereas with HoneyBook, it's completely workable to where it works for you instead of you having to work into their system. You can build a system that works for your business and supports your individual needs instead of having to tweak it to make HoneyBook work for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I do feel like our industry doesn't get to enjoy that benefit that most other professionals do, in that its pricing functionality is limited in our industry. The best way to price our services so that they scale and protect our profit margins are to have a functionality that allows you to price something per person per hour. You can either do per person or per hour in HoneyBook, and not per person per hour. And so what we find is that people who use HoneyBook are really redesigning their pricing in a way that doesn't necessarily scale so that it fits inside their HoneyBook proposals. It's less than ideal, but I completely concur with you regarding all the other bits and pieces of HoneyBook. If it wasn't just for that pricing thing, which hopefully someday they'll do, but I don't know that there's enough of the mobile bar industry or catering industry even to be very high on their feature request list.
Yeah, and I can definitely put a plug in as well. We have our own, as a pro, we have our own feature request process. And so I can definitely plug that in to have a more dynamic way of pricing out things. The way it's set up now, it would be more manual, where you would just create a package template that is just the basic, just the details of what all is included in that, and then they would have to customize that pricing. And each time they send the invoice, get those details, collect those details in the inquiry process, and then plug them in before they send it out to the client to give that quote, or however, and then of course the final invoice at the end when you get the final numbers, tweaking that and things like that. So I can totally see that pain point being there for you guys. But yeah, I will plug that into HoneyBook's ears, and I can't promise anything, but I can hope that it'll bump it up to to where it'll be more on their radar.
Oh, I appreciate that. Any amount of plugging it would be a game changer for our industry.
Definitely. And I know they're wanting to reach different industries, and they're trying to get away from HoneyBook is for photographers and wedding pros. They're really trying to get away from that because it can be used in so many different industries, and so I know they are wanting the feedback from different industries on how they can make it more robust to meet your individual industry needs. So I know they would love
Yeah.
hearing that
Have them give
feedback.
me a call. I've got
And
lots of them.
yes, yeah, and in the HoneyBook community Facebook group that is managed by HoneyBook, and it's a pinned post where it's a feature request form. And so, like, anybody listening, and you, Sarah, when you have things like that, you find things, totally go there, fill out that feature request, because they can't read our minds. And that is one thing that they are constantly sharing too. If somebody's asking, man, I wish HoneyBook could do this, they are replying with that request form, that feature request form, because that's the only way it can get on their radar, is if we communicate with them. And so it is there for everybody who is a HoneyBook user to share how they can make it more dynamic for you. So totally look that up too. If something comes to mind, you don't have to contact a HoneyBook Pro to make that happen, although I'm happy or to help as I can, but it's there to help you and get that communication flowing on what your industry needs from HoneyBook.
Awesome. I love that. We'll put that in the show notes, the link to the form as well. That way people can hit it up, and there's strength in numbers. What is the biggest mistake that people make when they do their own HoneyBook setup?
I think when the biggest mistake most people are making is thinking they can start with automations. That's the main reason why. That's why I started with HoneyBook. And I'm going to tell you, I totally set my system up backwards when I first started. I know this is a mistake because I made the mistake myself. And everybody thinks I'm going to sign up for HoneyBook. I need automations. I want to duplicate myself. I want to automate things. And they go to automations and they start there and try to figure out what they need. So they'll decide, step one, I need this inquiry response email. Then they'll back out, write that email, go into automations, plug it in. Okay, next step. And so instead of coming up with a game plan ahead of time, they're trying to piecemeal it together from the automation builder first. And so one of the most important things you can do for yourself before you even start digging into HoneyBook or any CRM for that matter, this goes across the board, is to sit down and write out your business processes and your client journey for each service that you offer, because they are going to differ. They might, like with your industry, it might not differ a lot, but the language that you're using is going to be different from a wedding versus a birthday party. And so you can set up automation specific for the different event types that you hold or that you offer and you service. So that way the emails say, thanks so much for reaching out about your bar service for your wedding or your anniversary party or your birthday. You can totally specify that. But the only way to know what you need automations to do or how you need HoneyBook to support you is by mapping out your business processes, what you need to do to follow a project from the initial inquiry till you're wrapping it all up, sending that final thank you email and asking for the testimonial. Don't forget to ask for the testimonial, friends. Mapping that out, and then also mapping out your client journey. What does your client need to receive to have the best possible experience with you? And then automations marry those two things together. So within automations, you're able to have those tasks to remind you to do things, and then also sending out emails and files and questionnaires and booking documents and all of that to support your client. Once you map out those two things, now you know what tasks you need to make sure are included in your automation. You know what emails you need to create because you've mapped out your client journey. Now you know what you need to communicate to your client. So now you have a list of emails that you need to write. And then you also know what files you need to create. So while you're mapping out that client journey, you want to send an intake questionnaire, you need to have a booking document, you need to have a project kickoff questionnaire, things like that. Now you know what files you need to create. So that's where you would start first, map those things out, create the email templates, create the files, and then you'll be able to go into automations and start building things out to flow the way you want them to.
Yeah, I too made that mistake. And I also think that's what makes people cry when they work with professionals, is because the professional like yourself is going to ask them for that information. What's the client journey here? And new entrepreneurs are a little, I don't know. I'm just winging it. I'm just figuring it out. Why are you making me do this? It's such a valuable process, though, if you can make yourself sit down and actually think through it.
Yes, and that's something I help my VIP experience clients with, and I also have a client elevate your client experience service where we just map out your client experience. So regardless of what platform you use, we can map out that elevated client experience. So then that way, whatever CRM you use, you can take it and run with it to implement in that CRM. But with the VIP experiences that I offer, we actually get on a call, and it can sometimes last 3 hours, and we are discussing your business processes, and I'm asking you the hard questions, and we are mapping it out together, because sometimes it takes somebody outside. I've heard the phrase, you can't read the label from inside the bottle, and so I'm that person on the outside helping you realize and identify gaps and help you build that elevated experience for your clients that you might not think of because you're so stuck in the everyday doing the things. Sometimes you don't think of the gaps that are there, or hey, this adding an email here is going to elevate that experience, make your client feel more supported and things like that. So that's where hiring a pro, finding a pro that can help you navigate that and map those things out with you. And there are clients that have done the work and they just send me the Google Doc and I take it and run with it. And there are other clients that they're like, I have no idea where to start, and we book a session and we map it all out together, and that's all included in their investment for that service. And so know that there are pros out there that will help you through that process. It's not just like, when you get it done, send it to me and we'll book. It's let me help you. Let's get this done, because procrastination gets the best of us. Second guessing gets the best of us. There are pros like myself out there that will help you through the process so that you know it's the best possible process, not just for you to support you, but also to support your clients and create that elevated experience that we all want our clients to receive.
That's an awesome service. And I'm no longer a mobile bar owner, but I have clients, and I think that there's value in even that, being able to have someone from the outside look at what's the onboarding process, what's the offboarding process, what are the questions that people have throughout the journey that we can help support them before they even ask those questions. That's awesome that you offer that. You said that's part of your VIP package, or it's a separate package?
Yeah, that's part of the VIP experience, but I also offer it as a standalone service. So if you're like, I don't want to focus on anything else right now, I just need to focus on elevating that client experience, I have a service that can help with that, and we just solely focus on that. And then after you're done, if you're like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to implement this in HoneyBook, I can help you get that taken care of and check that off your to-do list too. Or you already have, you can take it and run with it and implement it on any CRM that you choose that is best to meet your needs and meet your clients' needs.
Awesome. Awesome. I thank you so much for your time today, Stacey. We will obviously have a lot of show notes in this one. So if a listener is, man, I wish I had a link to that, it'll be in the show notes. We'll also have all of your information in there so people can reach out to you directly about getting started or getting polished in their HoneyBook experience. And we thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun, and I always love learning about different industries and sharing best practices and tips on how to make HoneyBook work for your specific industry. And so it's been so much fun learning more about the mobile bev industry and how your processes work and things like that. And HoneyBook can 100% support you and help you scale your business with ease. My business is Sweetly Simplified Systems because I believe in the simplicity of business. And the simplicity of systems, they do not have to be overly complicated. And that's my goal, is to make it as simple as possible for everybody that I work with.
Amen. Business that's the mastery, is simplicity. When you're able to create simplicity in your business, you know that you have mastered what it is that you are doing.
Exactly. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And that wraps up today's episode. I hope it was valuable. I would love to hear from you what you thought. You can drop me a line at hello@mobilebevpros.com or find me on Instagram at mobilebevpros. If you're looking for more valuable mobile bar related content, we have a website full of it. You can find us at www.mobilebevpros.com. And I'd love to see you in our Facebook community, also by the name of, you guessed it, Mobile Bev Pros. Thank you for joining me today. And until next time, cheers.